Mike, thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
This was a very special episode of the Weigh-In. It was episode 30, which means this ends the first arc of experience, and then we start a new arc. So I'm very excited for that. You should be very excited for that. I can't wait for you to like.
Hey man, I'm excited. I was here for that
Pivotal
milestone. Yeah, milestone. I like it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what you can bring to the show tonight. It's going to be a great show, our biggest one ever.
Yeah, we can talk about some stuff.
Oh yeah,
yeah, we put a lot of effort into it.
I think you're going to do well.
Yeah,
our initial meeting is great. You walked in, cool dude. I'm very happy with that.
When I seen them together already like cohabitating, it was good for me. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was the Weigh-In.
Henny Boy 2.
Henny Boy 1. Henny Boys. Henny Boy 3.
And
Crown.
Mike. And Mike.
Yeah. And Mike. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a special episode of the Weigh-In. The title of today's episode is The World's Greatest Teacher Experience. So, we have a special guest today, good friend of ours, good friend of mine, Mike Mullin.
Hey, Mike.
You've heard about him.
Good to be here. And a good friend of yours, a good friend of mine.
Absolutely. So, we're just going to talk about our experiences with 10 different subjects, 10 different topics, and then, at the end, if there's time, we'll definitely go into just some random talk, just get.
Can I get like 5 seconds for about a moment?
Absolutely.
So you and Mike work together, I understand? Is that what it is?
Me and Mike work together at Tops.
Oh, beautiful. Excellent. That's good to hear. I always like to know where the friends come from, and Mike's a cool guy.
Yeah.
I met him this afternoon. I'm really think he's really special, and I'm glad he became
That's
our
why
first
it's a
guest.
special episode.
That's definitely why it's a special episode. And let me, before we even get into, I just want to let everybody that's listening to this right now know that this ends the first arc of the Weigh-In.
And then you're here.
Yeah,
Hey, boys.
And the video that comes up after this will be something totally different that we haven't done before. So I'm very excited. This is a very exciting time right now. Yeah.
Well, take us into it, bro.
Yeah. So.
Can I just say something real quick?
Yes.
I just want to say I'm happy to be the first third on this podcast.
Yes, sir.
I've
The
been
first third.
listening, and I don't
I like the way you word it.
Yeah, and I got to be first something. You guys have been doing this for a while, so first third is good enough for me.
Yes.
But I also I may manipulate some of your questions to fit my what I want to say to you.
No.
That's cool.
fine.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's an open show, open-minded platform, and we'd love to hear what you say.
As far as experience, we're going to start off with music. Tell us about, music. Whatever you want to say, you're hot.
This is a teaching moment for myself. I dabble in being a musician. So
Yeah.
I never really, I wanted to play the drums so bad. I don't know if you guys ever tried to play the drums.
It's like Chinese.
kinda tough.
I mean, Chinese checkers. It's hard.
Yeah.
There's something very special that happens in the body of a good drummer, and it has to do with separating their limbs and what each one's function is during, whatever song.
Okay.
So I never quite could get that down. But there was a magic moment for me. I was listening to a song by Primus called My Name is Mud. I don't know if you guys ever heard
I
it.
know the song.
All right.
I do not.
All right, we'll have to get that queued up for
Okay.
a break. But
Funky bass stuff, cool stuff.
yeah, so there's the drum beat, the basic drum beat of that song really opened my eyes for like the off time beat of the drums in that song, but also and I was able to play that, and it was like an eye-opening moment for just everything having to do with off time beat. And I know people are probably going to be like, "Oh, Primus, Primus sucks," whatever. I'm just saying that for me, it was a huge moment for me in my musicianship, and I will always attribute that to an eye opener.
Any of that kind of a sound player who's off kilt a little bit is a magician. Because drumming is a Zen thing, as you're talking about.
It's
you get kind of numb.
too.
Your arms get numb.
It's mathematical too.
Yes.
In the the timing and stuff of it, but. Man, yeah, good drummers always amaze me. I love watching a good drummer play.
What's the terminology for what the speed metal crazy drummers play? They got that triple time thing going, and they're hitting like three beats.
I know they got double bass going. They got two pedals that hit the same.
That seems like they're getting a good zone. They're in a good zone when they're playing too.
Yeah, those guys. I mean, again, it's mathematical at a point. You have to be amazed.
The next topic we're talking about as far as experience goes is your body. Your
body. So
maybe we should have brought his wife on the show.
I know. Well, maybe we shouldn't have.
No. Hopefully she doesn't listen to the show.
But so for me, the biggest teaching moment in my life, I will say, was when I was out of high school And don't judge me because it was the time. Everyone was doing it. I was rollerblading.
Judge your face.
All right. And I get the rollerblades out, and I had some good ones. And I mean, I would just go out for hours. And I was never in a better physical shape, body-wise, than doing that. Because
Could never rollerblade.
it works your lungs, it works your leg muscles, obviously. But
And how
also
old are you?
your-
How old you did
At
that?
that point, I was. I mean, I'm talking like 19, 20.
Okay, so you
Right.
got the hair going, and the
I-
wind in your
yeah.
hair, and you're just like,
And no helmet because I,
oh man, that's
Oh,
no,
yeah.
too cool for school with
that's
that.
the zone, man.
Yeah.
That's the zone of any kind of a sport like that. That's a little more dangerous than normal.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, speaking of sports, the Bills came back to win today.
Oh!
I did hear that.
They were down
Go
14-0
Bills.
or something. No, 16-0.
16-0 somehow pulled it out.
We've been there before.
I was gonna say that's the opposite of what we expected, but not to say what we expected, but what we've come to expect as Buffalo sports fans. I would ride a bicycle also sometimes, but the rollerblading was fun because it was a challenge to mentally. I couldn't stop on a dime like I could with bicycle. You got brakes.
Yeah.
Now with rollerblades, you could do like a hockey stop or something. But when I was riding or rolling in traffic and everything, if something came up, I'd have to find an out, go around.
Oh,
I
you
wasn't-
couldn't stop.
I wasn't good at doing the hockey stop.
So you knew how to
not
dive if
limited
you had to
space.
into the trees and bushes.
I
and
go
stuff?
into that. I learned how to. If I went onto the grass, I wouldn't fall. I would just slow down and stop. Like I would just find my little outs, and it was like a. I ride motorcycle now, and I think it really played into my abilities to do that because of the trying to look for outs and everything. So I'm always looking for the next thing. But yeah, physically, that really put me in the best shape.
How about family?
Okay, family. When I was growing up, I don't know about you guys, my mother's side of the family was huge, and we used to have at every single holiday we'd have a huge gathering. All the cousins would be there, 40 plus, and
Big party.
it was a big party. And we would go to like Knights of Columbus or something, get it. They would rent it out. One of my uncles would be Santa at Christmas. The whole deal.
That's pretty cool.
And I didn't know
I had that
that
too
other
once.
people didn't do that, until later in life. That I talked to people and that's a foreign concept to them. So that was a big deal. And my wife's family also is very close. They hang out together. We, hang out and just talk about whatever together, have a few drinks together. It's an enjoyable time, even though, in-laws are supposed to be some kind of, horrible thing, but we always get along and it's good.
My relatives are pretty cool my age. What do you think? How are yours?
I don't have any in-laws, but like definitely I've been around Mike and his in-laws and the whole family,
brother,
and
sure.
like the rapport is just amazing. I definitely believe it could be generational.
I don't think it's a generational thing, but family is family, and I think it's like a weird concept when people say, well, they're family, so I have to blah, 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 whatever it might be, And I do think there's a point where family or not, there's a line.
Oh,
Absolutely.
we talk about it all the time. In
Yeah,
our show, we've
absolutely.
referenced that in many indirect ways.
I do see it in other people's lives, and I just, when they go back to the automatic family thing, I just don't agree with that.
No, I don't like it either. I used to, some friends that I work with and people that I associate with and stuff, they just don't know how to say no. We can't go out tonight. It's just like, okay, I get it,
or no, you can't borrow $20.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Which happens more often than not.
Yeah.
How about work? And we've
Okay.
worked together at the same. I have many jobs, but we've worked together at the same job.
A good long time.
Yeah.
We could speak on it for days, but we
Yeah.
won't. We won't.
He says that pretty harshly.
At least not today.
Please, Lord, don't let us. No. I've learned from upper management not to do what they're doing, and what they're doing is dedicating their entire lives to their job. Now, this might be a generational thing. Okay, I've spoken to people in my wife's family who would say that a man is only what is, a job is what a man is. A man's job is who he is.
Is this an Irish thing or something?
No, no. I mean,
I
it's
never heard
just-
it. Sorry.
Okay, that's good.
How about you
I've only heard
variation
it.
of it,
I've
though?
only heard it once, but in respect of if somebody retires, they cease to have their identity. In a way, which
We've talked
is
about
not-
that before.
Yeah, sure,
Which
sure.
is not
Job description is life
necessarily
description.
right. It's not necessarily true, but it's not. There's something to it. But this guy was very adamant about it, and I disagree 100%. But I've seen managers that they work their tail off all year to take that one what they consider to be epic, vacation. They go to Hawaii or something, something epic like that, and then that's for a week or 10 days, and the whole rest of their year is garbage just to do that.
And he's probably bitching and moaning like at least 3 or 4 of those days in Hawaii.
Oh yeah, you know it.
'Cause you need to space it out more. They say when you get vacations.
Yeah,
you
and
need
that's
to have
what I
about
try to
5 or
do.
6 per year, and everybody should take 4 or 5 days in a row. Well, I'm actually like this guy you're talking about.
yeah, we're
I don't take
here all
vacations.
I've been
I
guilty
had a
in the
couple days
past.
off for Labor Day recently, and I just don't do it. But I've been thinking of things. I do want to do things, and I'll talk about it in some later episodes. But we'll get back to you.
Yeah, definitely. Right. So, regret. And broach that however you like. All these questions however you like.
Okay, so in regards to regret, I just think, there's a term that, or a phrase that we used to use, woulda, coulda, shoulda. Okay?
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've heard it before. And it's, you can't dwell on things that maybe should have been done or would have been done. You just you gotta move on with your life.
Sure.
You can't get stuck in things that you may have done wrong. Or sometimes people put things on themselves, and you have all this regret for something you had no control over in the first place. Regret is only good to play into your decision making in the future.
Sure.
So like a heuristic, like a method of processing, like what's going on, and
you,
how to make decisions with the same.
It's basically like a learn from your mistakes type of thing.
Yes.
Okay, so
totally.
You regret making the decision you made. Well, going forward, you're going to know better, or you better know better.
Yes.
Oh no, because look at any one of the weird things that any of us have bumped into along the way growing up and whatnot is we've all learned from it, but we didn't realize that we really learned from it totally because you didn't actually have it on the other side of the coin. Like because you learned from it, you never had a chance to get that burn.
Right.
Let's say you learned how to avoid the burn, but now since you did it, that's part of experience. You've probably already avoided it more than a few times. Feasibly.
Right, true.
So I'm a total advocate of that. You need to learn from experience. I'm talking scrapes, scabs, and black eyes.
That, yeah.
And I know
like
you
that.
guys had the one episode about learning from your enemies, and I think it's the same type of thing. You can learn from your enemies' mistakes too, which is brilliant.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
716 certified.
Yeah.
I was totally.
So, what about? Are you done with regrets?
That's it for me for regrets. Yeah.
What about America?
America is. I mean, I
keep it a buck. Keep it real.
All right.
You need a whole day on this.
No.
Yeah, you know what? I mean,
sure, go ahead.
I might need more than a couple minutes on this.
But no, that's fine.
Just to say, I learned a lot from my cousin, who he's ex-military. He worked for the government for a while, and he lives in the D.C. area. So we actually went down for the first Obama inauguration. And
I remember you went down for that.
He took us around, and I learned a lot from him. Not just during that trip. He obviously taught us a bunch of stuff while we were there because he's very knowledgeable. And but just in his Facebook posts from then until now, he's got a great perspective, and he's not very one-sided with his politics. And he can talk to either side. He can call out either side. I really appreciate that about him. Because you always know that he's telling it like it is, and he's not picking sides.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's my thoughts on America.
That's America. So this next one is interesting. Older people, younger people.
All right. So this is one of the ones I manipulated.
That's fine.
Okay.
I like it.
I'm
excited.
Yeah, right.
I changed this to older people versus younger people. That is to say, I changed it to speak on that because
do it.
I didn't make older people versus younger people. It just kind of happened. So a lot of the older generation likes to spout all this stuff about how entitled the younger generation is, and they have it too easy and all this other stuff. They don't have the work ethic, but it's the generation that raised them that's complaining about them.
Ooh.
So that really hits me.
I can interject, but I won't right now.
That's all right. And you can later.
Sure.
Yeah.
But my thoughts on it is a lot of people trying to tear down the younger generation for not having a good work ethic. And, they're saying all this stuff like you just got to get a better job and you just got to move up, where you are and that kind of stuff. But it's a totally different work environment than that generation came up through.
That's true.
It's a mess
and
right now.
We've seen it I've been working for the same company for 25 years, and I've seen it just get worse and worse as far as labor versus, work expectations.
Which is crucial.
They cut the help and they want more done.
They want magic, as I like to say.
They always want magic, and you know what? They do it because they go, somebody's going to show us that magic, and then that's our new manager guy. So someone shows them the magic, they promote him up, and then you got nobody working magic anymore. So it turns into this whole thing. But taking it too far to just say that it's not the same world that the older generation grew up in, but they're trying to put those standards on the younger generation.
I never thought about that, and that's deep, and I'm going to unpack that later, because that's crazy.
One more piece of it
but there's more to that.
One more piece of it for me is, the whole college education thing. They said, go to school to get a good job, and we see now, we can all, I don't think it's debatable anymore that, college degree doesn't mean what it used to mean anymore.
No, it doesn't.
and you end up owing all this money, and you're taking a job that pays $15 an hour. You can't pay your student loans on that, you know.
It all boils down to who runs the government. If they get a lot of money from taxes, they're able to do just about anything they want. They're the grand manipulators. If you read comic books,
Right.
those are them ultra villains who can manipulate the cosmoses. That's kind of trying to bring comics into it. I totally agree. So it's not just the people in the decisions and the old people and the young people. We're all being manipulated in a different way.
Sure.
I'll tell you about my generation at a later date. It's a great story. So we got about a minute left. If you want to wrap it up, my man.
Would you say it's the greatest story?
It's probably worth a good episode actually because I've experienced it and you two have.
We'll definitely come back to that. Now we're going to talk about personal values.
All right, so personal values. I've never learned anything about personal values.
What?
No, I'm just kidding. I can't even tell you what steered me towards this besides life in general. Okay, that I've started just to take my close friends and family, my close family obviously first, my close circle of friends second, and and on out from that. Like, those things are the most important. You should prioritize them accordingly, and it kind of goes back to what we talked about with work. And you work your 40 and you go spend the rest of the time with your family, and people do things differently, and we can talk about that. But I found for myself, like, I have to separate work from the rest of my life. So I work my 40, and maybe I'll work an extra one here or there, but work is work. And then I'm with the family, my friends. I'm prioritizing my personal close-knit circle.
Makes you feel good? Your health is better? You feel good?
I feel a
Mentally?
lot better than I did when I was now. I mean, I drink a lot less than I used to, so that might have played into my health feelings.
You don't think? You don't think?
Maybe a little bit. But no, I really do think that it helps your sanity.
Heady boy number 2 here.
It keeps you a little rooted, to prioritize that stuff.
Can I interject?
Please
and
do.
Not to cut you off. Dude, it's the kids. You're always
How many
a
kids
fan.
you got? I didn't just ask you this.
I got 2 kids. I
Oh,
got
I love
2
it.
kids at home.
All right.
I like to say we lost one along the way.
It's a bad scene.
Yeah. We have 2 kids at home, and my kids are a huge pain in the ass, but I love them.
Oh,
and
teenagers?
No. Oh.
No.
No, so I
You're
got
not telling me you don't want to?
No. He's reacting because you said teenagers, which is ludicrous because he knows.
Because
how old
I'm
they are.
there in the universe.
Yeah, no. So my daughter's 5, and my son is about to be 3.
Oh,
So-
cool ages.
Yeah. So they're both a pretty entertaining time. We just went to Disney, and I could honestly give 2 shits about Disney.
By the way,
watching them enjoy themselves.
I am not House and Mouse.
Hold on. For posterity, that picture that you showed me,
Yeah.
did you have to keep that? Because
Oh,
I want that to come up
We're
in
gonna
the very
frame that
first
and put it in the
kids.
kid's room, I think.
But I definitely think that I definitely know for a fact that the kids have changed you and MJ in a great way. And I think that's why you're maybe a little bit closer than you were as a younger man.
That's
Just my
probably true.
opinion.
And like I said, we did lose one, and I think that brought us closer together, and
It does.
helped me to prioritize too. That's you got to be there because you don't know,
So speaking of Florida,
Right.
traveling.
So my wife really helped me out with this, with traveling in general. I had opportunity to travel more when I was like in my early 20s, and I always shot it down. I blame the cost or whatever, but really I had never been on an airplane. I wasn't trying to instigate that.
Are you apprehensive?
I was apprehensive, and I'm still anxious when I get on a plane.
Same
I don't
here.
like flying. I really don't like flying.
I'm with you.
But it's the only way to get places.
Yeah.
It really is.
I don't mind flying, but I don't like roller coasters. I'm fine with flying. Roller coasters still get me.
See, I don't like either one. So I lumped the 2 together.
I've been off of the roller coaster thing for 25 years now. I was time I kind of liked it a little bit, and one time I said, "This is just fucking dangerous.
It's dangerous.
It's dangerous and it's real unnerving.
I'm with
It throws your stomach.
I'm with it.
Come on now." And my son is frightened. He went once in his life, never again. He'll
It's
fight
dangerous.
you over the goddamn roller coaster.
I'm with it.
You know what? My friends, not to sidetrack too much, but my friends got me to go on a roller coaster in my adult life, okay? I was sworn off roller coasters. I knew I hated them. And we decided to go
Sounds
to
like you
Cedar...
did ride him a couple times, though.
No, we decided to go to Cedar Point.
Theater, I
And
didn't know.
it was going to be a
been to
weekend
Cedar Point?
of drunken, whatever.
Debauchery.
So, yeah, my friends like to drink, and I knew they were all going to be there. We were gonna
Bree,
be-
Twin,
Shout out
Brian.
to the Tuesday crew.
Tuesday.
But
cool.
I knew they were going to go, and I knew they were going to drink and have a good time, and so we did. But as we're driving there, that's when I tell them, hey, I don't like roller coasters. And they're like, what the hell are you coming to Cedar Point with us for? They call it the Coaster Coast. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's a pretty dangerous place.
Well,
it's Indianapolis 500.
It's dangerous.
Coasters.
It's dangerous.
Danger, Will Robinson.
I know the arms are going and shit.
So they convinced me. They said, did you like broccoli when you were a kid? And I said no. And they said, do you like broccoli now? And I said yes. And they said, well, maybe your taste changed.
Straw man argument.
You know what?
Yeah, no, it still tastes shitty.
You know what? In a way to give them that, and also in a way to man up, I said, you know what? I'm going to go on a roller coaster.
I respect it.
Salt pepper that thing up with a lot of butter. You can eat it.
I will
Shit, but
eat
not
the
that roller coaster.
Not the roller coaster. Talk about the goddamn fruit.
So this is my friends. They're like, we're in line. We get on the ride. I was scared, right? We get on the ride. We're riding the thing, and I hated it. Hated every minute of it.
If you're scared, I'm terrified, by the way.
Hated every minute of it. And so, we get off the thing, and they're like, oh, what do you think? And I was like, no, yeah, now I know. Now I know. My taste has not changed. I do not like, what my one buddy says right away? Well, that wasn't a good one. You should try this one over here. I'm like, no. You got me once. So you're not going to get me all day here.
Oh, quick crossover. So the reason that I'm apprehensive of roller coasters, Crystal Beach, first time I'm ever getting on a roller coaster. So we're sitting there, we're waiting. It stops. The people get off. A lady passes out in front of me. Just faints from the roller coaster.
In the car? Or out of the car?
No, she gets out the car and then she passes out in front of me. And I'm like, holy shit, I want none of this. But now I'm committed. Now I'm locked in.
The rest of the line was like,
woo!
Yeah, right now you're close to being in an Alfred Hitchcock story.
I'm sweating bullets. Yeah.
I went tubing one time in the winter. Similar story, okay? I'm tubing. We're at the top of the hill. We're waiting our turn to go down. And there's all these little dips that put you up in the air on the way down, okay?
Oh, yeah, they're dangerous.
Yeah, so this kid goes down, and his tube gets out from under him, and he lands just smacked onto his chest. And I don't know if it knocked the wind out of him, but he did not move. Like, he just slid to a stop, and the sled came out and got him, and they took him off. And everyone had to wait, while all this is going on. So everyone sees what's going on. And there's actually people at the top of the line going, I'm going to take that lane down. That was a good lane.
I'd be like Vincent Price in The Fly, like the original one, where he's like,
Yeah.
please help me. Like, don't make me go.
That's the voice with the big compression.
Okay.
All right, let's get back
to end this
let me wrap up the travel because
Yeah.
we didn't talk about it at all.
Travel?
Traveling.
Traveling?
So, it was the topic at one point. So
Well, this is we've on the travel. No, it's on with airplanes.
Keep going. All of this is magic.
So my wife and I, we talked about we both really were interested in checking out Ireland. We had never been, and it looks all
As an Irish lad, you should.
so beautiful.
Yeah, so green.
Okay. So we made a plan to go, and I just didn't really bring up that I was afraid of flying until we had already booked the trip and everything because, there's only one way to get there.
Hold on.
How many hours are you?
Hold on.
How many hours?
Sidebar, real quick.
Sidebar.
That trip wasn't it wasn't where you proposed, was it?
That's where I proposed.
Fuck, I spoiled it.
That's awesome.
That's where I proposed. Now that wasn't why though. That wasn't why I decided I had to go to Ireland either.
Okay.
We had talked about getting married too, and I already knew I was going to propose. And it turned into once we booked the trip, then it was like, okay, well I could propose in Ireland, like a boss, or I could
Like a boss.
wait until 6 months, a year later, and propose in some crappy restaurant in the city of Buffalo. No offense,
right.
Buffalo, love Buffalo, but Ireland. We're talking about Ireland here.
Ireland.
My first flight ever at 30-something years old. We get on this plane, 1 hour to New York. No big deal. I was terrified, But and then I get on. We had got these seats that looked like, if you looked at the tickets, it was 23 and 24 or something. They looked like they were next to each other. No. One's a window seat on one side of the plane. One's a window seat on the other side of the plane.
Yuck.
And you were next to the person that didn't have.
I was next to this
the owner.
hippie dude. I was next to this hippie. It's funny you
Oh,
said that.
Jesus Christ!
No, he didn't.
How do I know that?
I can't believe I just met you today. This is crazy to me. So,
Sorry about the hands.
get on the plane. That's all right.
Yeah.
So we get on the plane and we realize, we're sitting across the freaking plane from each other. Now, she probably didn't care as much as I did. I was like, man, I'm freaked out. I sit down at the window. This guy comes in with all his stuff and sits down. Now, he didn't stink. I'm not going to say the no deodorant part, but he was a hippie dude. And he goes, he's like, hey, man, how's it going? And I go, hey, just a little nervous. He goes, you don't like flying? I'm like, well, it's the first time. And he's like, oh, no way.
First time.
Yeah, so then I told him, my girlfriend is totally across the plane, and he goes, he said, you want me to switch seats with her? And I was like, oh. I was like,
Come on!
Yeah,
He had to be an American. He had to be an American.
He was. Well, yeah, American hippie dude. No, this is what he says.
Listen to Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young.
This is what he says. Hey, I'm already on the watch list anyways. I don't
Are you serious?
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
that's nuts!
Yes, then
Why would you just say that on a plane?
I know, and then I go, man, I don't know if I want my girlfriend switching seats with this guy. She's going to be sitting in the guy that's on the watch list.
You're already watching. He goes with his earphones. They all with his earphones.
Yeah.
Well, my paperwork says he's supposed to be a male here, but I got a girl here. What's going on here?
C22B, I think.
Do we take her out now?
Wow.
Must be in disguise.
Yeah.
Must be in disguise.
Yeah, what the hell?
Okay, so.
But yeah, so it got me out of my comfort zone. And that really was the ticket, and now, I don't fly everywhere, but we travel all over the place, and I love it. I love seeing different stuff. I love meeting different cultures, different people, trying different foods, that kind of stuff. I love all that stuff, and it never would have happened without that one trip really opened it up.
That's awesome.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I dig people who work hard no matter where they're from or what country, by the way. It's got to throw it in.
Yeah, absolutely.
That means you can complain if you work hard.
The last question, the past, the future. Unpack that however you want.
I don't even think I can grasp it.
You can.
Well, here's the thing.
Maybe. Sweetheart.
I already kind of answered this question, but I'm gonna put it back to one moment.
All right.
In my life where before I was dating my wife, way before I was dating my wife, let's just point that out.
Okay,
I was seeing someone else, and I was with this girl for 6-8 months or something, and
I know this.
She cheated on me.
She did?
She cheated on me, and she tried to deny it, even though the evidence was undisputable. And it was.
I can imagine.
It was ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
So I.
Fucking stand-up guy. He's ruggedly handsome.
Ruggedly handsome Mike. That's me.
Sometimes, in the old days, you got to work it a little harder.
Well.
I'm just being legit.
Don't lose your crown.
So anyway, back to this. Girl, she apparently liked to work pretty hard. So
I love it.
With different businesses.
Yeah, so I tried to, as a nice guy, I didn't want to,
stand up guy.
I was into it with this girl. We were, I came to realize later on that I didn't really like her that much. I just liked, being with her,
Sometimes the personality really sucks you in. Sometimes,
It does. Sometimes the body parts suck in. Sometimes it's different things. But I didn't really. I'm glad that it ended. I didn't appreciate the way it ended, but I'm glad it ended. I ended up breaking up with her, a few months later, because like I said, I tried to make a go of it, but the trust was gone.
Sure. And
trust is a huge thing. That's for me, it's first thing, trust. If you don't have that, you have nothing. And so all that said to just say that all these little things that happen, they play into your future decision making. Like I was saying before with the regret is part of it. That's one of the things they'll play in. But all of your past plays into your decision making present day, which obviously is going to affect your future.
I think we were talking about that earlier in this episode. Some references and
that's
right. Yeah, there were some references to that about learning things like that. Yeah.
So
pretty impressive. That I like the way you tied it all together, man.
Just to circle back to that other answer.
Wow.
Yeah. It really the past has everything to do with the future. We wouldn't be where we are now without the past being what it was. And
so Arthur Clarke and Robert Heinlein and all the greats. Man.
Now, if time travel ever becomes possible, then we can change all that. But for now, our past is always going to have a huge effect on our future. So for now, we gotta deal with that.
So that was Mike's point of view on experience. It was beautiful. It was awesome. I'm very excited. I'm glad to have you as a guest.
It's great being here.
I feel Emil feels the same way. He's gonna come.
I'm anxious to hear your guys' answers to all these questions because I spent a little time looking through it, and I'm anxious to hear what you guys have to say.
Yeah.
Well, especially we put him on the gun, too. We put him on the hot seat first.
Definitely, and Mike came up first, and he came strong. So now we're getting to me.
Julia.
So we'll start me off.
Now we get to hear from Mr. Julian Titus and his teachers.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we all know two things. I love Madonna and that the magic's in the music. But I wanted to start off with the fact that music belongs to everyone. Like nobody gets like to pigeonhole music. Music belongs to everyone. Everybody gets the right and the liberty to listen to whatever music that they want to. I think that is first and foremost. And like you have the right to love like any genre that you like. Like growing up as a black man in my in my teens listening to rock music, it's not easy. Like you're gonna get teased,
Rock.
you know. Yeah, yeah. I was in
No,
a rock.
he's right. I didn't talk much about growing up as a black man, but he's right.
You know something? I've been listening to fucking soul music when I was fucking in my teens.
Yeah, dude. And,
So
and,
it's not, I didn't fake it.
and sometimes you get beat up for it,
Yeah,
you know.
I know.
But like,
But I still
it's-
love you.
Yeah, because music has such like an emotional connection to everybody. Like we talk about, you know, it brings up nostalgia. It brings up so many things that just draw you in. Like music has had a special place since slavery, as far as like the black community.
Oh, sure,
you know,
absolutely.
like to just make people feel like they're secure. So I've listened to
They
music.
feel like a family too.
Yeah, no, dude,
Clapping.
I've listened to music to get me through hard times, dude. Like in my younger days, and it's like almost like the perfect remedy, dude. It's literally insane, and I'm very eclectic. You know, like I'll go from Google Dolls to Ice Cube to Sade to Nas to
That was one of the things that I think helped our connection is that you listen to all kinds of music.
yes. Yeah, it
Yeah, I
bridges-
noticed that
it
about
bridges-
him also. That's actually
it
it's a
bridges,
very unique thing.
connections. You know, like dude, it's amazing. Music's in our soul, dude. As a people, like we were bound to create music at some point, and it's in our DNA. I definitely believe
I
that.
think
I
even
also
the
think,
chant,
like-
even the monkey sounds are a form. There's some music going on.
No,
There's some
absolutely.
vibe
Yeah,
happening.
yeah. Nature's got music in it for sure.
Sure.
But I do think the right song at the right time can fix anything.
Well,
Yes.
it's like it's
Or
unbelievable.
ruin anything.
That's
Right? It's the feelings. It's on both sides of the spectrum. It's amazing.
If you got a good set of headphones on, you got like a good set of Bose headphones, and you're just listening
I'm
to
a
music with
Bose
the headphones on, I'm talking like a really good record. You
Yeah.
are like on another quadrant.
Yeah, I agree with that. And then, just to say with, we're gonna move on to what's your best teaching experience or moment involving your body?
a healthy body. You get a healthy mind and a healthy mood. I'm a big believer in that. You know, if you're working out a little bit, you don't have to do anything crazy. But if you're working out a little bit, you staying in shape, you exerting a little bit of physical effort, it's going to improve your mind and it's going to improve your mood. You're going to be sharper and you're just going to be in a better mood without a doubt. Also, I would say, just from my personal experience, push your body as far as you can. You know, like tinker with your body. You know, do yoga. You know, lift weights. I'm getting
You mean like
those.
one time? No, I'm shaking my head. No, like, I mean, you know, I've tried lifting weights. It's not for me.
I think
Yeah,
everybody
you mean when
has
you
to
say
do
lift
something
weights-
physical once in a while.
Yeah, when you say lift weights, you mean like one time in your life, like
Yeah.
try it out? Is that what you?
Yeah. You don't have to do it
did
forever.
you ever
but
try?
I'm like,
Did you ever try any kind of sport? Like
You know what? It's funny. I never really was
Really?
into sports in general. Like, I will say that when I was growing up, like I loved doing like little, you know, with a few neighbors, whatever, that kind of stuff. I never liked organized sports, and it's not anything.
Well, I'm not
against
saying I'm a
organized
big
sports.
jock or nothing like that, but it was a certain like 5-year period of my life where it was like key to life, man.
Yeah.
It was the most important thing, and I had excelled at it. I was a big kid at that age,
Yeah.
and but after that, I got tired of it, man.
Tired, literally tired.
No, I really did. I've been wrestling with everybody for fucking 30 years. I'm tired of it.
I hear ya.
keeping it moving. I also think that you should love your body. Like no one's gonna be able to love your body if you don't love your own body, and that's the men and women. Like you definitely got to love your body.
I
you
like
know?
that. I think that it's important. Whatever shape your body is in, you know it's going to be in top 10
Yes.
form for all their lives. Okay, but I agree with you. Yeah, love the form you're in.
And to wrap up, like there's diminishing returns as far as the body goes. When you're in your 20s, you can eat whatever you want, and your body's gonna bounce
So
back.
true.
Your 30s, you're gonna still have some of that, but there's gonna be small consequences. Once you get to 40 and after, you really have to watch what you eat. So you just can't eat everything, and you got to have some system in place so like you just don't like ruin the later years of your life by not treating your body the way you should.
Dead on, man. I wish I could follow that rule.
I agree. But that brings us to what's the next one? Family.
Yes. So I've learned through experience there's no one size fits all rule how to approach and deal with different situations with family. There's different cultures, there's different generations. All of this is going to have an effect on how you deal with family. And like some people are going to have different approaches, and you can't say that their approach is wrong or you can't say their approach is right,
Yeah, you can't just write like a little handbook of how
No,
to deal with
it's
your
definitely
family.
it's definitely complex.
Right.
I also believe that getting to know your family is getting to know yourself. When you look at your father, when you look at your mother, when you look at your brothers and sisters, may they be older, may they be younger, you're going to see traits that you're going to exhibit in the future. So, like, when I look at my father, there's things that he's did that I've known that, that he's did for, like, the last 10 years. I start to pick them up. Even if I'm not around him like I used to be when I was a kid, I start to pick those things up, and I'm like, oh, my God, I'm getting like my old man. Because, spawned off some of that flesh, like, like... That's you, like
it's
DNA.
DNA.
Yeah, it's DNA.
If you can keep that going, if you can keep that going generationally, they'll always know the Tituses or whatever you so choose as a last name.
I also think that, like you said earlier, family is not like perfect, and I think that the weight of betrayal is always heaviest with family. I've had family that have burned me, in the past, and we've talked about that. We've talked about that, on the show. Later episodes to come out. It's always heavier because these are the people that you do not expect to hurt you. These are the people that you expect to like always be there for you.
Well, let's imagine if you got a handful of people in your family, you got more than a few kids in your family.
Yeah.
Every single one has a different trait, different personality, whatever it might be. So just imagine trying to raise that if your parents. I only had 2 kids.
Well, it's like we were saying too.
I get you 5, 6 kids.
The automatic just family is family and you can always count on them is not. People are people.
Yeah.
Family or not, people are people. So
That's right. Everyone's got a situation going on.
And just to wrap up, my last thought is treat the time with your family wisely. You want to get as much time as possible. Like, the older I get, the more I realize that. And you won't realize that as a young man, but you definitely need to.
When you're really young, I think you accept it. When you're a teenager and you're thinking of other things, you're definitely not in the family. When you start to mature slightly, like you're talking about, I think you start thinking about it more.
All right, so let's move on to work. What about work?
I think that you need to work at a job or at a place that you're engaged in. Like, I want to be excited to go to work. I want to be enthusiastic to go to work. Like, I want to go to work and be like, oh my God, like, I'm happy to be here. I also think that...
Do you?
Yes.
Right.
And that's what I was about to lead into. Because you need to find the people that you connect with emotionally.
Not necessarily the job itself, right?
Not necessarily job itself, but, like, you connect with, like, on a social level. These are the people that are going to keep you strong during the rough times. I can laugh with Mike. I can joke with Mike. I can come to Mike with my problems, whether they're about the job, my personal life, or whatever. And this is going to keep me strong at work. Like you said earlier, work should never be number one on your list of priorities. Unless you're an orphan, you have nobody, and you never knew anybody. There's no reason ever that work should be like the number one priority.
Well, I can't wait till I get my set of questions.
It's going to be the same set of questions.
I know it will be, but I got some
you
good
get different
thoughts.
ansers. But you know what? That's good.
But not totally the opposite.
Like
Just-
I said, I want to
ideas.
hear. I would love to hear other people's.
Definitely. I was not a pundit of this, and I was not a proponent of it, and I started to realize it in the last couple of years, you need to take vacations. Even if they're staycations, you need to separate
I'm not
from
gonna
the
deny that.
you need to separate
Take a
from the
break.
job. Yeah, you need to separate from the job, refocus and realign your state of thought. I think it's crucial. And work should provide, to end off, work should provide like a sense of accomplishment. If you're going to work, you need to feel like you accomplished something. That's my personal view. And if you're not getting that, you need to find a different job if you can, if it suits you.
You don't want to regret going to work at the job you go to, which brings us to our next one, which is regret.
Yes. So, with regret...
Let me interlude for 2 seconds.
Go ahead.
It sounds like some of the messages in your replies, I'm really absorbing them more than normal. It's almost as if you're telling me as a friend. You probably indirectly are or not. But it's pretty wild, some of your thoughts you got going on.
No.
I didn't set up these questions, and he did set up the questions, and he does know you, so I can't deny that he may have geared these questions to attack you in some way.
No. I'm not. There's no attack. Does anybody feel like this should? Nobody should be feeling like they're getting attacked.
I did not. But I'm really happy to hear it.
Yeah. So as far as regret goes, I feel it's easier to regret things that you did as opposed to regret things that you didn't do. I never want to feel like there was an opportunity that I missed.
That's a dangerous attitude.
Yeah, but I'd rather, you know what? And real talk, but I'd rather stumble into something and be like, at least I tried to do it, and then pay whatever, and pay whatever recompense than just not doing it.
Well, like you said, try yoga.
Yeah.
Try lifting weights. Try doing something. Try being active. It's the same type of thing. But you're saying it's stretching through your whole scope of life.
And I don't think you should be haunted by regrets. Like, I think that you should use regrets as like a sort of a tool. I did this in the past. I should not do this again because it left an emotional event, and I wanna proceed forward being smart. And to proceed forward being smart is to learn from the things that you did in the past that weren't so great. But I don't think you should be like, some people are haunted by some of the things that they did, and they're stigmatized.
Yeah, you can't dwell on that.
Yeah, I don't want to be that guy. I want to be able to move forward, amicably.
Well, not all people are like that. To each his own. I mean, the worst end of what you're talking about, I agree with. But overall, most people aren't that bad sometimes.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Henny, going for a Henny, isn't he? America.
Yeah. So as far
the land of the beautiful and the land of the free.
As far as America goes, this is my personal opinion. I think on a long enough timeline, you will love and hate this country. And this is from my personal opinion.
Comes in waves, right?
Yeah. America is not perfect.
And they're not big waves always.
Yeah. America is not perfect. Neither has it been perfect. And there are things that we did that we're embarrassed about, that we've grown from. And I think that we need to recognize that, and when you don't have all the facts and you don't have all the knowledge and you don't have all the perspective, some things about American history could make you hate the country. But there's so many things that are beautiful about this country that'll make you love the country. So I believe that on a long enough timeline, you'll experience both of those.
I like it.
I that. Sure.
I also think that America is the people, and America will always live in the hearts of the people. I don't think that what was built here, any structure, any institution, is what makes America America. I believe what makes America America is the people. And this is a melting pot. There's different, there's Irish, there's Sicilian, there's Black, Indian. There's a lot of different cultures that come in to make America what it is. And I think that we never need to lose sight of that.
Hey man, there was a time when I used to say Irish and Black need not apply.
Yeah, luckily those times are gone.
All those immigrants all suffer, and some suffer today too.
But we have moved forward.
Real quick, I think there's, for me personally, I think there's too many political opinions and also too much political naivety. I think there's too many people that have a political outlook or a political opinion, but don't understand how politics run, don't understand how the country runs. They're missing a lot of information and facts.
I think you touched on that when you said when you don't have all the knowledge, you can't really understand. You were talking about parts of history, but it pertains to present time also. You don't have all the knowledge of the people that are doing those jobs. We all like to criticize. It's very easy for us to say, why didn't you do this or why did you do that? But we're not up there making those decisions. It's got to be hard.
Yeah, definitely. And the last thing I'd like to bring up is a Captain America quote. And it's, "I'm loyal to nothing, General, except the dream." And that's actually from a Daredevil comic, Daredevil 233. But I like to believe like that I'm focused on, being a part of the dream of what America can be. The land of the free, the home of the brave, that dream is what I feel like as Americans we should focus on. Because when you get too much politicized, dude, it can get crazy, far leaning right, far leaning left. I just think from my personal experience that you need to think about the dream of what America was, a place for people to come, be safe and secure. That's me wrapping up America, and that's my thoughts on America.
Cool beans.
Good thoughts. What about older people, younger people?
So, I believe that older people, they're the tree of the past. So, just all the elders that's in your life personally, and even people that you don't know, like, they have the benefit of actually living through the times of the past. Not just reading about it, not just seeing, like, video or anything, but actually, like, experiencing
life
on a actual tangible level. So
it's definitely different.
Yeah, you definitely gotta talk to older people and get their opinions on things and get their perspective on things right now. So I believe that is just, you got to do it. Now, also, conversely, I think older people tend to be a little bit entitled.
The same reason why the youngins think that they're being picked on. They think they're entitled, and the reversal of the argument.
I agree. I think
it's both sides of the argument.
Everyone's perspective is different. So that being said, they take things differently.
But I think if you've already been in the trenches, let's say you were a war veteran or whatever your life might have been, difficult life, this and that. I'll always listen to an older person. I can tell really easy if they're like just they don't have their story together or they're just wacky, if they're too scattered. But you always bump into somebody who's got a good story to tell, and you got to listen because, I mean, I did that when I was growing up. I made sure that when I met somebody who was an older person, maybe next a Vietnam vet, I absorbed what I could from the knowledge if it was there.
Yeah. Now, do you listen to younger people?
I do.
Now that you're a little older.
I know, but what I try to do is I try to still tell them I think maybe you want to approach it this way.
Right, sure.
Right, yeah. No, you good.
That's another story. Well, that's a good subject matter. Mark it down.
We'll earmark that.
I got it.
So, as far as younger people go, I think they're full of creative potential. I love it. It gets me excited because they grew up like in the digital age, where like technology was just on the rise, like exponentially. So I think that they're just in the right place at the right time to just be more creative because more things seem possible. Now, I also believe that younger people lack anti-fragility, and alertness. Like they're a little bit weaker. Like it's just my personal experience. Like they seem to be like a little bit more soft than we were like in our generation, like the Gen Xers and going back. And they don't seem alert. Like they're abreast of like the global problems, but they're not receptive to the problems that like are right in their general universe.
Well, they don't talk much. That's the problem I've noticed.
Well, they do talk, but they communicate online.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, but verbally
speaking. It's a different social situation, definitely. And that probably is like what you're referring to there, is that everyone communicates differently now. I mean, how many times have you heard someone who would fall into the category of the younger saying, don't call me on the phone. I don't want to answer the phone and talk on the phone. Just text me. If it's something you can text me, just text me. When I feel like, people that you put in the older category stereotypically will want that phone call. They want the back and forth.
It's more tangible. Right. They're more receptive to it. I definitely agree.
So what about personal values?
So obviously, and I feel like this is not going to come as a shock, but value your mind. Like it will give returns in like 10x dividends. Like if you build your mind up, if you develop your mind, like it can be the most valuable instrument in your entire life. Like that's just my personal opinion. Only because developing my mind like really saved my life and really got me on track and made the man who I am now. So I'm a big advocate of the brain. Said it in the first episode. We'll continue to say it.
It's your best investment.
Yeah. I also believe that you need to develop a personal code to live by. I think some people kind of have it like haphazardly, but it needs to be something that's concrete. Like I have personal values that I believe in, that I've I've formulated, I've meditated, and I've thought about for years, and I know that they're strong. So there's no way that I'm gonna step out of that particular lane. If I believe this, until somebody disputes it, it's my belief. I don't see people right now just having particular values that are their own. I also believe you need to value intelligent criticism, which is something that I couldn't do back in the day, and I had to learn, and I still struggle with it these days. But like, if you have people in your lives that you respect, people that you respect their intellectual capacity, right. When they tell you something, even if you don't agree with it, you need to value the relationship that you have with that person, and take the information and really try to process it.
Get the value out of that.
Yes.
There's lots of value everywhere. You just have to search for it.
No, absolutely. My last thing on this subject is gratitude. I believe that gratitude is the antidote for bitterness. And this life can get very, very rough. It could disappoint you, and it could just make you bitter about a lot of things. But if you constantly reframe and regalvanize that thought of, whatever makes you grateful, whether it's your kids, your job, your girlfriend, the work that you do, the hobbies that you have, but you just keep every day trying to be aware and thankful and grateful for everything that's in your life that you look forward to, it'll be a definite antidote. You won't be as bitter and jaded by life.
100% agree with that. I wouldn't have framed it that way, but just because I wouldn't have thought to frame it that way. That really sums it up.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Top notch.
All right, what about traveling?
Okay, so for me in traveling, I believe the body was meant to move and the mind was meant to travel. So to unpack that, obviously with the health and physical thing, like you have to move.
Poetry.
But, yeah,
Right.
but the mind was meant to travel. Like you need to go to different places and see different things.
Oh, that's so rich.
Yeah, I think the way the brain was developed, that with space, like we're such good creatures when it comes to like spatial recognition that you need to see different places. You go to your same job at the same time, the same day, the same week. You're seeing the same exact things. You're probably going to see, for the most part, the same exact people. You need to get out of the culture and the subcultures that you live in your city, your county, your state,
you do.
and go somewhere else. Somewhere that's totally different, where you can see things from a different perspective. See how people live, a different way.
Yeah, because that's the only way you're going to be well-rounded. Because you want to everywhere you go. You don't want to be I'm a Babylonian. You
Yeah.
you got a chip on your shoulder and you're talking about chicken wings or something too much.
Yeah, I like the idea of that too, because
Here.
that could play into what you're talking about, being grateful for what you have. You start to see how other people are living,
Yes,
and it might help you with
that.
that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, before you jump ahead, real quick though, the brain has got so much space for memories and things. It's got so much room to add on. It's a computer that's got so much untapped usage. I think it could be part of what life is actually about, and you only know it if you're not really concealed by borders. Like the old people before there was buildings and roads, they still got around. They took longer to travel. They learned a lot. They knew everything about what was going on in the whole country that they knew and everything. It wasn't that only a little town.
Definitely. I've traveled places like by myself, like out of state, whether it's driving, Greyhound bus, whatever, but it's just more fun in a group. And I may be a little bit biased because I think about the times like we used to take road trips, like me, my dad, my mom, and the kids in the back seat, and we're like driving on the highway through rural lands and seeing like horses and cows, and then it's nighttime. You see the moon and all the stars because there's no street lights. Dude, I love that. Those are some of the best and most sacred memories that I have to this day. Traveling. I want to travel outside the country one day. I've never been out. I know Mike's been to Ireland, so I want to travel outside the country one day.
Have you been to Canada?
Well, we don't count Canada. Canada does not count.
To get there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of old school Canada, a lot of French old school up north. Pretty neat. Montreal, Quebec, and stuff. Something to think about. It's just a train ride.
Yeah, but I want to go out of the country, but I want to get on a plane and have to
I just think it's closest to thinking to Europe. It seems like to me that I don't got to go to Europe. I just go to Quebec or Montreal.
I agree with that.
That's true. That's a good point. All right. What about the past to future?
Okay, so your past affects every moment of your present and your future. So you have to be mindful of the past. And, everything that you've ever done holds some weight in your life. Everything. And you got to understand that you may have a phobia, something from the past that is fizzled down a little bit, but it still affects you, it still limits you in a little bit of a way, and even in the present day. So you can't, some people try to forget their past. You gotta embrace your past because it's your past and it made you who you are, even if you did a 180 change. Now, memories have weight, and carrying that weight will make you stronger. That's actually a line from a Japanese anime movie, Rurouni Kenshin, Samurai X, but that line just hit me so hard.
It's cool.
You have to carry the memories of the past. We've all lost people, whether it's family, whether it's friends. Maybe they're not here. Maybe they moved away. But you need to carry those memories with you on your day-to-day basis. Even if these people are not around you, you need to keep that memory alive and carrying that memory.
You're keeping the generation that's important to you alive, especially.
Yes.
Because sometimes your grandparents, your grandparents, obviously your mother, and now you're the fourth in the line. So you're always in that cycle of four, they say, right? So, I remember my great-grandparents, my brother, my sister, they come up with photos every now and then, and I'm impressed that hasn't been lost. So I'm trying to make sure it continues in my family, too.
No, absolutely. I agree 100%. Now, living in the future, to me, because I like to say that I'm a guy that lives in the future, means that you're living in creation and possibility. And I think that my life, inside my mind, my self-talk tonally has been a lot better since I've been living in the future. Because sometimes the present can be abysmal. You got circumstances in life,
sure,
rough business, rough things are going on. But in the future, you create the future because it's not here yet, so it can be anything. So it just
it's definitely open-minded. It's positive,
yeah,
for sure.
But there's a congruence that having that much mental energy begins to have, and you just naturally feel better. I believe from my personal experience.
I do.
Yeah,
I mean,
like
you
that.
can slip over to questioning the inner parts of that, but the straightforward positive effect is the best.
Yeah. And as far as the future in general, I'm enthusiastic. I'm enthusiastic about just everything. What the next generation is going to produce. What are we going to do in technology? What new research, for the body, are going to help people live longer and live better. Where the country's going, like just the future. And it, like I said, I'm not a Pollyanna. I try to look at things realistically, but I'm enthusiastic about the future. I'm waiting for it, and I feel like it's going to be good.
Have you read Lost Horizon?
I have not.
Okay, just curious. It's a good book.
Okay.
Talks about stuff related to what you're thinking. Both sides of the story, of course.
I'll put that on my list. So we get to the big guy. Okay. What are your thoughts on music? Oh, this is going to be good.
First off, well, I'll just try my best,
Yeah.
Okay, music obviously is one of the 5 keys of life. Maybe there's 4 keys, but let's say 5 because you got 5 fingers. Right?
Songs in the key of life.
I'm not gonna ask you the 5 if that's the case.
Yeah, well, but hopefully there's something like that, 3 to 4 or 5.
Sure.
So in that sense, that it is like the universal communicator for all color. Like you ever notice, like you never see music becoming a problem in any kind of racial tensions that we see around the world or even in America. Everybody still likes a little of every different genre, even if you're supposed to like listen to rock and roll because you're that age, or you're supposed to listen to black music because you're a black guy.
People might lie about what they like, but music is it's something that invades and goes through. And they might say, I don't like that because they know they're not supposed to, or they don't want to get embarrassed with their friends. That's where guilty pleasures come from, right?
Yes, absolutely.
But, yeah, I agree.
And I think a lot of people can define emotion, too, because if you don't want to read books about stories and love stories and heartbreaks and things, you get short little vignettes of 4 to 3 minutes, 3 to 4 or 5 minutes on pop songs. And the era when they told you stories,
Absolutely.
Love affairs,
Absolutely.
sad stories, we get them all the time, like, Sony, come back. You remember that little joke we did a couple weeks ago?
Oh, yeah.
And also, remember what was it called? They took a lot of the music out of the schools a few years ago.
Yeah.
And they said, we don't want that thing for the kids and stuff. That's one of those keys I'm talking about. It's something for ears, eyes, nose, and all that stuff. So the thing is, like, without music, we would really be a mess because that actually is like a bridge between all 3 of us talking. Yeah. We don't have music on now, but we're working in a musical way. We're jumping around.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you don't have if everything is a life of nothing, nobody's talking. Mm-hmm. So that's my thoughts on music. It could go a little further.
Yeah, no, I like that. That was good. That was definitely good. So, your thoughts on the body? Your body? Somebody.
Well, I mean,
somebody's body.
Look, when I was young, man, I was like a speedster, skinny. I ate like crazy. I had my mother said,
Hold on. We don't know what that means, speedster. You gotta define these terms.
Well, we're talking about, I was
you're like running around and.
Yes, I was a real hyper kid. Then I turned it into sports, and it was fairly decent.
Okay.
Wasn't the rock star, but it was really good.
Energetic.
Yeah, and so because of that fact, I know what it's like to be fast at one time and not be, over 250 pounds.
Oh, okay.
So the things that's what I noticed the most about life. Since I'm getting a little older, not that it really matters, you definitely start to know exactly what it's like to be, whatever the fragility is in your extent of your life.
Oh, so you've seen that through like slowing down, like losing that, mobility.
I feel that.
I feel
that, sure.
But I also noticed it from another point of view, maybe you'll admit. Now, on the other side, there's other family members that are in your family. Some people are a little older, a little younger. So you're seeing the odd uncle die, or you're seeing, seeing a lot of things that are going to happen.
Yes.
But that doesn't bother you for the most part in your first 40 years, does it, right?
Yeah. No, you kind of roll with it, and you're like, I got plenty of time, and...
Yeah, and then you notice you're getting a little gray or getting a little older, and you got grandkids, and you realize, I'm officially old. So experiencing the different things for the first time are pretty fucked up, for at least me. I mean, when we're young, it doesn't really bother me, because I think I'm absorbing at that time.
Yes.
I don't want to absorb this knowledge of how I feel.
Yeah, you start to process more, especially about your body.
Yeah, you're worried about everything, And every day is like extremely different one to the other. There's always something that you find out like, oh, I can't jump out of bed that fast, or I can't do a light jog across Main Street to go to the 7-Eleven because your arch or your heel hurts. That never happened before. So that's how you can get hit by a car.
And also, maybe this is in the past for you, but I get this thing every once in a while where you go, well, my knee's been bugging me for 2 days. Maybe that's just the rest of my life now. My knee's going to bug me. I'm getting into that mode now where it's like, oh, my back, 2 days, 3 days, it's been going. Maybe this is it. I'm going to feel this in my back.
But do you ever, by using that same style of taking care of it, do you ever convince yourself that I got this? It's all right.
I can live with this.
Yeah. You're real positive. And she's like, you don't really know. You're just going to hope that maybe that.
What's the worst thing? I can't jog anymore. Hey, that's all right. Lots of people live without jogging.
That was great.
And the last thing about the body which I like is this thought. It's in hindsight, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of a rough quote. I don't remember where I got this from. Maybe I got it wrong, but you get the basic idea of it. I wish I knew then what I know now.
Oh yeah, I've heard that somewhere.
There's a variation of that. So,
yeah.
but it's never going to be that way unless you have a time machine. So that's not going to happen. But all I can say is, because I'm an old person, just take care of yourself when you're young. If you're listening, because
you know what's great about that.
You're going to feel it later.
You know, a young person could benefit, and you talked about listening to older folks. I don't want to skip ahead in your list.
Sure, you're good.
But, you know, the thing about like young kids, they don't want to listen. They could learn. They could learn so much by listening. And it's like you say, if I knew then what I know now, and you can try and impart that to someone who is then in their life, it's then, and try and give it to them before it's now for them.
Yeah.
They don't want to listen. You can't teach it. They have to learn it.
They
for
may
themselves.
need to earn that rite of passage, but it's the perspective of which they're looking at it.
Things you can't absorb that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You can't absorb it. You have to live through stuff in order to get to that point. But
if there was, do you see any clear-cut solution on how they could actually get that direct connection to straighten out?
It's a communication thing, but like the older
I think
generation,
it's off the track right now.
They don't
it's an understanding thing, and I think it's been going on for generations. When you were 19, 18, you weren't listening to it. Now you were listening to old people and their perspective on things, but you were taking what you wanted to take out of it.
Yeah.
And the stuff that they were probably trying to give you, you know what I mean, was just
I knew about. I would say I would accept things about 70-30 at that time.
Yeah.
70, I thought I was right, and then at least 30 I wasn't listening to.
Right.
So and that 30 was probably 28% that was good. So I accepted kind of what I wanted, but I knew there was something there I should have listened to from my mom or whatever it was. But you learn the hard way. I had the opportunity to actually learn the hard way, and I'm not going to talk about hard as really being super hard, but I was able to teach myself by dealing with my own shit.
Right.
Yeah. That wasn't going to work anywhere else.
But I think that is what it takes. And ultimately, that's what it takes for everyone. I think to really learn those lessons, you have to live through stuff, and you have to understand it on your own.
That was great. What about family?
Family, huh?
Family. That's always a tough nut to crack.
It really is. Well, again, this is another one of these single-handedly probably the most important part of aspect of humanity.
Yes.
Is family. You got to show them the most respect also in your family. If you have an old aunt or an uncle that maybe your pops doesn't like the person or your aunt's not happy with it, if they're not wacky or really really far off, it's once in a while nice to reach out a little bit.
That's true.
Even if it's kind of distant, I think it's important because people build up animosities towards anybody who's even making a $5 more per hour or something. It's like you gotta live cool and you're safe and people don't get jealous.
Yeah. I think in today's political climate as well, sometimes it's tough to bridge the gap. With like you said, like an aunt or an uncle, it's tough to bridge the gap. But you got to make the effort to at least give people the benefit of the family end of things. We don't have to agree on everything.
But at least
let's still be caring for each other and everything.
And lastly, in this family section, I'd like to mention that I think I talked about a little bit when you had spoken the part of this series of shows. We talked about taking care of somebody within your generation span. So about family, I'm also mentioning the fact that there's only one. You are only one generation. When somebody passes, it's more personal. So, so that I mentioned about how distant relatives can pass away, or whatever. Mm-hmm. But there's but like I said, they are your only first generation, the people in that cycle of fours, nobody else. If you know about some triple old grandmother, well, maybe it's just a rumor that somebody passed out and nobody really knows.
Yeah.
So it's really the key. I think it's whenever you're sad and happy, you got to be able to cry and lay in a relative's shoulder or a parent's shoulder.
Definitely. You're definitely right. You got to reach out to people no matter what, and keep those connections alive, keep those home fires, burning. So what are your thoughts on work?
Work. That's a great subject matter.
Queen City, 50
Four-letter
years.
word. Four-letter word.
It is the 4-letter words, right? Well, for me, it's a strange thing. I never, I never knew I was going to be working as young as I did. So at the age that I am, at 61. So when I started working, when I was when I was a young kid, it was around the age anywhere between 10 and 12 when I started in the store. So I always say to myself in the last couple of years, if I actually could count that time up to when I professionally started working, maybe I should have been retired.
Yeah.
Not by age, but by the volume of work.
Yeah, you got your years in.
That's
and
what I'm saying.
work
The years
yeah.
we're in, but it's one of those things. I've never worked for anybody except for some freelance jobs along the way. I've been self-employed.
Like a boss.
Yeah. Well, I'm a boss, but when I was younger, I was kind of a dick. Like I said, we talked about that 70-30.
Yeah,
Maybe there was times it was 50-50 even.
Right, where you're like, I know what I'm doing.
So I had to learn the hard way because I was a hard head. I didn't always listen, and things of that nature. But I knew enough to learn and absorb. But I was like, I'd run into rock walls or cardboard houses and see if they would break. But I never did that. But it's like, you would think I was about that hard-headed. But anyway, so I've come to understand what the real 4-letter word means, which is work. And, what I do in my job, I love it because I like the hobby and the genre I'm in. And even this show is part of what I like to do. I just like to do things. I always like to be creative. And, a talk show is not bad, a little podcast. So it's not hard work in the true hard sense of pouring some cement,
physical work,
cutting the grass, shrubberies, whatever the work is. I mean, even you guys,
I know whatever.
Yeah, you working in the warehouse.
Yeah,
and you in the warehouse there too, right? So anyway, it's in my mind. Yeah, and lastly, I could use a real vacation someday.
Yeah.
We touched on that a little bit earlier, but
I'm gonna do more. I said last couple of years, I was gonna see more rock concerts. So the last couple of years, I've seen like 3, 4, maybe even 5 a year. Always the best time because
That's awesome.
You get a chance to party a little bit and really get into the music. Because that's important. So I got that going. I think it's easy. It's easy said, but maybe I'll be able to do that eventually.
You're getting there. I personally appreciate it because I know how hard you work. So, how about your experiences with regret?
So some of the things you think that are wrong that you actually regret are really not what you think that is. Because at a certain age, you're going to regret something for a different reason. And then when you're older, you realize that that really wasn't a big regret. It was at that time in your life.
Yeah.
Right.
So you have to just keep trying to think about you're going to be successful, and hopefully you can keep moving along. Some of the regrets that actually it boils down to, it's retail business innovation ideas. I've always been savvy about things. I always try to plan things and always thinking like an inventor, but I don't make adventures per se.
You're not Tony Stark.
No, not Tony Stark. If you got the cash and you can do it, that's all these companies.
Sure, yeah.
Some young kid in the family, his father's an engineer and he's already hooked up and everything.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I remember some of the things that were real important. Like I knew for sure that video was going to be big. Always been a huge film fan my whole life.
Yeah.
I knew video was going to rock way before it was even possible. Remember the first videotapes would come out to be $59 and
Right.
Yeah,
real
back in the
crazy
day.
shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I never really got into it as I should have, and I said, I think I talked to my brother-in-law once about it, but he never smirked, so it never. I wasn't asking per se, but if he had said I liked it, we should talk more. Maybe, who knows? But and then a few years later, they started small, then they became huge. So I don't know. I felt because I was in that scene, I really felt that it could work. But I missed that. I thought I missed that a little bit.
Ship
And
passed you by on that one.
yeah, what are you gonna do? Yeah. And another thing too is I always wanted to franchise Queen City Bookstore. There's been big moments in our history of comics there where the early 90s were super hot, and Disney's first 7, 8 years of this run have been real hot for the hobby also.
Sure.
And during those times, that's when, commerce grows and
Yeah.
does its things. So during some of those cycles, not the most recent one, but the one in the 90s, I was so close to writing just, I was going to go about doing it my own way too. I wasn't going to try to need $500,000 to make it work. I was going to just do a nice low scale one. You want a franchise from us? We'll show you how to run it. Yeah, it's only like $50,000, $100,000. That's all it is. Done.
Small investment and
and this will get you in a direction.
Yeah.
But I never did it. But then I started thinking I could use that idea on just about anything.
Yeah.
If you're dealing with a multi-million-dollar company, you can charge them a multi-million-dollar price meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're dealing with just some schmo who wants to make money for his new CDs and some hemp.
There's logic. Yeah.
Right,
Thanks.
So for what it's worth, that's the only real major regrets I have. I made good with my fathers and mothers and everything. Not that I had any problems, but everybody in my family, just close family, they died and everybody's cool.
That's good. That's
no
good.
problems in my
good, yeah.
family.
What about
I had a couple weird aunts.
Okay.
But that's about it.
Who didn't?
I'm not going to talk about them, but, you know.
Me too.
You really?
Yeah.
My grandmother had like five.
it's
There was
part
5
of
sisters or something.
Yeah, it's just part of life.
Oh,
Yeah. But what about America? America.
We know what we think. We want to know what you think.
Yes. Okay. Well, first off, America is itself is truly, it's a complicated, and it's a great experiment.
Yeah.
Because, you know, our forefathers, whoever they were, and whoever the people were behind the scenes, not just the presidents or whatever it might have been, they had an idea that they wanted to make it kind of a free system. It's kind of really open-minded. Let's call it liberal if you want. I'm not didn't mean to go that way because some people hate the word. And so the thing is, like, since it's always a work in progress, you know, it's always going to be in flux. So the things we see that happened in 2019 are just the same as anything that happened in 1845, just before the Civil War, or right after the Revolutionary War, when we were trying to take Canada and get in fight with the French again.
Just translated to modern times.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so some of the keys for people in America, like, you know, the citizens and the people who want to be citizens. And I'm not going to go political. I'm just going to I try to come up with this idea in my mind as straightforward as possible, because I think that's the best way to take it. Okay, so most of us, the majority of people that I know, my God, maybe 99.8%, have never lived in a country that really is truly an oppressive country. I'm not getting political, as I said, but hear me out.
That's true. That's true.
We sort of lived in America, right? Mm-hmm. People that have been impressed in America, obviously, have been our American Indians and a lot of the black folks in our country. They've experienced it more than most of everybody else in the country. And but, you know, America does offer all our people tons of freedoms. And if the freedoms are abused, what ends up happening is everybody who has the most freedoms taking it for granted. It's really sort of a blanket coverage deal. That's how it should work.
That's facts.
And then, you know, it's nothing about like passing laws to make that work. It's just go with the flow. Of course, politics mucks it up.
Well, the people aspect.
The people aspect, yeah.
That's and it is politics, but it's the people. And
it's a form of politics,
people
right?
People muck up everything.
True.
You know, there's a lot of religions that'd be great if it wasn't for all the people.
Yeah. It's human capital is the blame.
Yeah. But go on.
So what we have here is obviously a rarity, and it's not a given. And this is the reason why I think everybody thinks that their version of the freedom is what they're going to keep on fighting for. So, you know, a lot of people are crying on both sides. That's how convinced they are that they're right and everything. So, but that's because of what this place is. It's America. Yeah. And I wish people would just remember that a little bit more, because if they did, I think it'd be like a better place. It's not going to take much to make it that much better. Mm-mm. And that's about what I was thinking about on that. Thanks for hearing me. Definitely.
So, moving on. Older people, younger people.
Oh, I can't wait for this one.
Well, my thoughts and my ideas on this. Any boy one.
Any boy one. Any boy number two.
Yo, okay.
Hit me, bro. Hit me.
Well, first,
no holds barred.
Okay, it's got a little bit of a story. I'm going to try to get through as fast as I can. Okay, well, now the old folks, and everybody becomes that old folk. So if somebody is winning out over me or I'm winning out on them, it's going to be reversal for them eventually, so they can deal with it that way. So old folks do eventually get over it.
Okay.
Right? So I'm getting older. I get over some things, but right now, if I can still bitch about this and that, I got to. Because it's my personality. What would I do? I couldn't clam up, Julian.
I dig it.
Well, see, young folks get over it too, but they don't get over it until they've lived through those experiences like we talked about and learn those lessons that they've been the older folks have been trying to drum into them.
Yeah. Just nailing it into the head. Just take it. You gotta listen to me.
It's a great subject, right? And another thing too, I think is real important with like technology that's happening. I mean, not only is it like technology, which it is, and it might not be iron based or gas propelled or whatever it might be, but the changes are so monumental that are happening so fast before our eyes that even in a period between like this 75 and to 95, that 20-year period of my life, we saw a boatload of things happening. But not this capacity.
Not like this.
This is off.
Not like this.
This is off the fucking tracks. Think about what we have, what we can do. You're Flash Gordon, I'm Buck Rogers, and you're Zarkov. I mean, we are all in science fiction ships now, but we don't fly.
We used to talk about that the phone technology changed so fast. It was like it was changing in our hands.
Yeah.
You know, all the upgrades they made.
As soon as you spend those hundreds of dollars on that phone, it becomes obsolete.
Now it can do all of this.
Yeah.
What?
Well, here's the flip side to this now. Okay, so whatever terminology or phrasing they give these people. So you got our Gen Xers, and we got a little different millennial groups, and they got different groups in there within those groups. Here's the thing that I bitch about them every now and then, and I don't really want to.
Do you?
No,
Never heard of myself personally.
Well, I'm still saying it in a nice way, but I hope they know. I'm going to ask people. No, you can tell who I am. We learn to debate things a little bit further and make. Deliberate on exactly what we're going to accept or go with, right? So, but here's what I'm seeing that's happening, because you don't have to do any research on what's really right or wrong. If somebody does the thinking for you in the sense of your commercial things that you're doing, you go for it. So what we've got is, and this, like I said, never happened before, we're getting total immersion on properties and items and phones and plugins and downloads and all that stuff. And the immersion of this this digital tech is so rich and so thick, nobody's really thinking if it's right or wrong. They're just buying the next thing one after the other. So I think it's going to be a very, very dangerous path, and it's going to cause the whole world to probably blow itself up or something crazy, because they're all going down the same stream. We had a time when we were ahead of things again. Now we got the Russians and the Koreans and the Chinese.
And the countries that have been on top for decades are going to be the first ones to be affected by it.
Yes, the smaller ones, let's call them the analog users, will not be as affected maybe as the digital users.
Scale kind of breeds that area, that atmosphere for fragility.
And that's why I love the word fragility. It's an amazing word. I wish it was used more. I only use it for like shows and things. I wish it was a regular part of what I wanted to say. But I do have a bit of a solution, but it's never going to happen. But
oh man, let's get it out on the internet.
Well, we've already talked about this during this series of episodes that we've been doing here with all three of us. So I'm going to see if I can reword this correctly so it doesn't come out like what we've already said. But I think a lot of people should try to give mature people, whatever age level you want to put it on it, give them give them still a chance. If you got enough common sense, you can tell if they're legit or not. But look, they actually lived and died for the freedoms. So there's a different aspect of what they're about, right?
Touche
is fucking right, man.
It goes back to what you said about your generation and seeing people in your generation go. Yeah.
So that's why they're kind of a little uppity about things.
It leaves a mark. It leaves a huge mark on people.
It really does.
That was a nice line right there. Yeah. I feel like a battle rapper. I want to go rewrite my verse. I didn't know you was going to spit
rewrite
this.
Your verse.
Well, thank you. I'm glad you liked it, man. I meant it to be sort of a bit of a battle cry. I'm glad it worked.
I want to get behind you on some William Wallace shit.
Well, there's a connecting part to it that's a little wonky too in this now, because now you could look at that as being like the people who were still the army groups and the Navy, and they fought they were big in the 50s, and obviously led into the Korean and the Vietnam Wars. I'm actually talking more about the hippies, man.
Oh, man.
I'm talking from that point of view. That's kind of a generic term, right? The hippies, but
man.
like. And I caught the tail end of that group, by the way, because I was my teens were in the 70s. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't in Vietnam, but it was all there for the taking. And so I think a lot of things are today's people actually take for granted the freedoms that we really do have. I know there's overlapping in our themes, but that's just the way our heads work and everything. But the thing is. About innovation is like we thought about things, we decided what we were going to do, we just didn't accept everything because it's there. So maybe we could have been spoiled too, like a Trojan horse if we did, but we didn't have that opportunity to be spoiled. But we used our freaking brains. And the last thing I want to say is,
position, just to add in real quick, now that you're in a position to use your brains because you're had the experiences and everything, you're looking at the new stuff coming up. Like, all right, well, let's take a beat,
just a break. Yeah. But I know there'll be a time where I'll probably be like, shut the fuck up, shut the old man up, Look at the last thing. Did you have something you were going to interject, Julian? Okay, I was just going to say, like, so listen to your elders at least one more time, for what it's worth. And you can look at this analogy. I heard about this the other day, or I might have actually heard it earlier from one of you guys, but maybe I thought about this. But just to mention, like, the elders are like coaches on a football team or a baseball team, and everybody else, if they're a little younger, I guess it's not too harmful to say that they're players on the same team, and maybe you're just trying to run the team. And once in a while, they interject a rookie. And he'll learn. And then eventually any one of those kids who are, the team players, they could be a manager someday. So that's an analogy if you looked at it on a scale.
I can unpack that. No, I get that.
The players are coming into it like, hey, we know how to play the game.
Personal values, my friend.
Oh, boy. All right, well, I'm old school still, but I still try to be modern. I try my best. But, I still can live as the way I like and still do things that are modern too. So I think that's kind of unique. I can actually work with a little bit, but I like the old laid back days. Blue jeans.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell it was, longer hair on the left and the right of your ears, whatever you want to look at. For my era, it was always about look.
Everybody in this room.
Do you ever think of this one? We used to think about these things the most. There might be some more you could add here, but look, learn, and question. Those are some of the keys that were good foundational, good power thing to work with for your personal values. Obviously, there was a lot of murdering going on in the 60s, and which gave us our freedoms. And, some of the big names, Malcolm X, MLK, the Kennedys, other people, and lots of causes and things like that. It's
lots of movements.
But, even with that and everything else that was going on and the things with the Russians, and there was always been problems with Russians and things in the 60s with the nuclear threats and everything. I'm still going to stick to my culture and just let new things in every now and then. Between you and Mike and my son, I get a lot of culture from people, and even from the customers, and I absorb pretty good. So as much as I want to, at least.
What about traveling?
Traveling? Traveling is a very interesting thing. I don't travel as much as I once did, but when we were younger, we used to do a lot more conventions and things. We used to travel, visit my brother, go on road trips. Always loved road trips because you bring some drinks with you, you bring a couple cigarettes with you, and you have a good time.
Yeah.
And you listen to the music. It's really a great thing. The highway is, even if it's the 1930s, Dust Bowl, that's probably too bad. But everybody likes a good road trip. Do you like a good road trip?
Love a good road trip.
Oh, I figured you
I took a road trip to...
You take a lot of road trips.
I took a road trip to an amusement park, and I hate amusement parks. But I was in it for the road trip.
I'm going on a little...
Oh, yeah. That was the payoff.
End of this month, we're going on a little baby road trip. Me and Mike.
What?
Yeah.
Where are you guys going?
I'm just going to drive over stuff.
Drive over crazy stuff.
Oh, boy.
Woods. Yeah.
Sorry. When some people go traveling, they like to go on, Disney ships, cruise ships. They go to big cities, all the famous hot spots, in Europe or in America, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But for me, my idea of traveling is I was a big camper for decades and just kind of grew out of it, Sometimes some parts of your team leave, and when they do, it's hard to get the group together.
Yeah.
Can't get the gang together ever again. But I like natural stuff, camping, hiking, all the nature in general.
You bust out the Dutch oven?
Dutch oven. Remember that? I did that one day for a friend. We that's one of our shout out to one of our earlier episodes. That's in the title, I believe, is it not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Doctor Who in the Dutch oven.
Yeah, that's a good episode. So anyway, I feel more comfortable on those kind of vacationing things that are road trip based or camping.
Yeah.
My family likes to go on different things.
That's great outdoors.
Yeah, you don't really want to get on a plane and take
really.
the whole thing. Yeah. There's a little added stress with that. I think the road trip is a lot less stressful.
Is that biased because you don't like planes?
Yeah, it's biased.
Okay.
I'm not allowed to be biased.
Just keep it 100.
Opinions come from is biased.
I'm cool with that. So, what are your thoughts on the past and the future?
Well, I miss the past more than ever these days. Maybe it's because of the loss of my last parent. Who knows? It's all part of the where it all goes anyway, right?
Yeah.
I'm a romantic at heart, and I'm romantic in many different ways. It's not
Me too,
not just a physical kind of romantic. There's everything plays an emotion.
The romanticized era.
Exactly.
I'm with it.
No doubt about it.
trying to go for an Oscar here today, killing
your
me.
consideration.
You're killing me,
For
Smalls.
your consideration. So, and I'm also, I'm glad you guys liked it. I didn't think it was going to have that power, but
I'm more excited about your shit than my shit.
I mean, I'll still get a tear in the eye on a great love story. If I'm watching a real good movie that's actually well done, not a true love story, but there's a heavy emotional love scene, I got the fucking well going, bud.
I can't ad-lib this on the day or the name's got to be changed.
Well, some things, yeah, my name to protect the innocent, right?
This is really going for this is Oscar moment. You should have told me, bro. He's giving everything right now.
I'm trying, man.
Okay, I'm backing up.
I got you. Okay.
Past and future.
So some of the things that that I'm frightened about is for the future is, and it's going a little crazy, is the vast amount of nuclear weapons that are popping up on TV left and right.
Yes.
This reminds me of the days when they almost looked like they were really going to fight, and I think everybody is taking it for granted. There's more nukes in place. They're moving. They're being raised. There's test firings than ever. Very, very scared of that.
Nobody's
me too.
You guys are older like I am. Not as old, but
No,
you remember the fear of the nuclear wars, right?
I remember in the 80s all that stuff. I remember that stuff.
80s
it kept me up at
baby,
night
too.
when I was younger. Really did.
In the past, if we had taken care of World War II correctly, remember the Russians never got a bomb until 1948, stolen bomb from the Rosenbergs, whatever the story is behind that, or whoever they were. We would not have as much evil that we're fighting with even today in 2019. But I think greed got in the way. Nobody wanted to finish the job off. They didn't want to go into Berlin. Remember that? They didn't, and the Russians didn't have a nuclear bomb. Not that I'm saying we would have dropped it on them, but they were in no mood ready to fight a war after all the energy they put in to get to Berlin.
Sure.
So I'm upset about that from the past because it directly affects how we are today, you know? And that's crazy. Think about that, right?
That's crazy, yeah.
All right, yeah, because, you know, in our civilized world that we live in, we used to try to eradicate the evils that are out there. Or evil people eventually fall and they actually suffer and stuff. We've seen it with, you know, Hitler, Napoleon. Napoleon not necessarily as evil, but
nice
hated
name
by
drop, bro.
but definitely hated by many, right? But we keep
Heard of 'em.
some people keep them around too long. These people I'm talking about. So what ends up happening is they can continue to fight. And they keep fighting, and they keep fighting. And nobody wants to stop it because greed is too much part of the game now when you're playing with fight.
Yeah, we
play
talked
with the
about
big
that
fight.
in
Why should we try and stop it when they can try and stop it over there? Those guys
Right.
should try and stop it, not us.
Yeah, so I just think that we have a lot of people that are, you know, in the service, and they do a lot of work for us, but there's a lot of things that just aren't happening in the service. There's a lot of extra boats that are circling around. I think we should just cut back a little bit and chill out, a little less warring. Bring the tempo down. I think we'd be fine. We've been saying it since the 80s, you know, before Reagan got in, but, you know, but it is what it is. Well, folks, hope you enjoyed the episode, man. I think we knocked it out. We came across well.
Dude, it exceeded my expectations. It was
Same here.
everything I wanted. Like, I'm very happy right
This
now.
dude
I had
right
a lot
here.
of fun. I had
Mike-
a lot of fun.
Mike's a man.
Mike Mullin, who you may have heard in the second, no, it was the third. It's the third episode, Nirvana and the potato chip. So, like, yeah, I like that continuity shit. Like, I like bringing someone I was talking about.
I listened to the shout out to myself. It was nice. It's nice
Yeah.
to hear a shout out for yourself. Shout out to all my friends. Shout out to my wife. Shout out to my
There you
kids.
go.
Yeah.
Putting
It's
it
nice.
back.
It feels nice.
Well, I
Dude,
think
we did it.
I think it's a good thing to say that the 30th episode was a hit, and I think everybody's going to really enjoy it. Thanks for your help. And,
absolutely. Great time. I would love to come
It's
back.
a
If you guys
different
ever need me,
perspective.
Yeah.
I'll come back
I
anytime.
appreciate that.
Yeah, because we're going to be bringing guests in and do this again, so we really like it a lot. And
Definitely.
it takes time to plan it because it's full of production, but it's good, you know. So
Yeah, we crushed
anyway,
it.
folks.
Thank
Weigh
you,
in.
everybody. That was the
Listen to
way
the
in.
way in.
You know it.
Henny
Subscribe. Hit that
boy!
subscribe.
Henny
Hit that
boy
subscribe, yeah. Fuck yeah.
All right.
I think we got enough.
That was it.
Action
No,
and stuff.
that was fucking it. That literally was it.
I told you this, like, I was a little nervous because I never met Emil here, and I said, you know, I don't know how it's gonna go. You know,
Yeah.
he seems like a nice guy. I didn't, you know.
I was when
Dude,
you
I
got
thought
here
the same
before
way
I was
about
here,
you.
I was like, holy shit, my boys are here. That's
Yeah,
what's up.
But
I
here's
don't know
the
what I
thing.
was thinking.
This is what made me feel a little better is I've been listening to the podcast. I feel like I know him a little. You
You
know.
did say that. Yeah, he
and
knows
it-
you.
It made me feel. It really made me feel more relaxed.
That's,
you're right, yeah.
that's
Been listening.
honestly what the first arc was going for. You know,
Yeah.
like the first arc was about experience. You know,
Sure.
As of the title of this episode, the world's greatest teacher experience. But it was to let you get to know us. So, like, if you felt like you knew him, that's awesome. Like, that's
did.
what I wanted to
You
get.
know,
Like,
and
I feel like everybody that's listened for
I'm
the
not gonna
first
lie
30...
to you. And I already told you this, Julian, but I don't know if I admitted it to both of you that I haven't listened to every episode. There's some that
You did say that
because-
last week.
because I knew, I didn't watch this movie and they're talking about this movie. I'm not gonna bother listening to that, But I did, and I don't know if that would have gave me any further,
Insight
into your personality.
Well, for the most part, we don't make anything too really deep if you think about it.
right. And,
but
and I've
it's-
noticed that, and I was
We're
telling
still
Julian,
smooth, but we're still deep.
I was
Yeah.
laughing about it because
We make it easy.
you'll pick these topics that there's no way, in 20 minutes that you're going to cover this topic, but it doesn't matter because you talk about it.
Well, we're talking
You
about the
get a little
subject
bit-
more than actually telling
Yeah.
you medically or how to
Right,
correct it.
right. You're not getting too deep into the nitty gritty of it, but you're giving your views on it, and
Yeah.
it really plays well.
Well, we talk psychological actually about things. We're optimistic and psychologically optimistic about things.
Definitely,
we'll say,
definitely both
I think
those
that
run
can work.
heavy.
That definitely can work, and we believe that way. And that's kind of like a Zen thing, I guess.
Yeah.
About like,
Yeah, we're not, like, we don't argue. Like, there's no
little
inner,
lotus pose.
like, there's no inner arguing. Like, there's no beef. There's no behind the scene drama. Sorry,
Right,
folks.
right.
Yeah, like everything
Maybe-
works
maybe
smooth,
someday.
and we disagree.
Maybe
like,
someday.
No, we
like,
disagree all the time.